muscle model of the digestive system. We're going to start our trip up here in the mouth, where we begin both mechanical and chemical breakdown of food. We'll pass the lips, pass the teeth, and using some muscles, mastication or the act of chewing will take place as our tongue pushes around this chunk of food mixed with saliva and all the good stuff incorporated into that, forming what's known as a bolus of food. That bolus is going to travel down past your oral pharynx, hopefully be diverted away from the opening to your upper respiratory or lower respiratory tract, your trachea, by this flap of fibrocartilage known as the epiglottis. It's the flap that flops over the entry to your windpipe, your trachea, and diverted posteriorly to your esophagus. That tube traveling from your head through your thoracic cavity and empties through a lower esophageal sphincter into the stomach. Your stomach has 3 layers of muscle. It's going to have an inner circular layer, an outer longitudinal layer, you can't really see all 3 on this model, and even more external oblique layer. Opening up the stomach, we can see regions such as the fundus up here, the cardia through here. Just remember your heart sits right about here. We have these folds inside the stomach known as rugae. These folds help to accommodate for larger meals when they come around, and contractions of these muscles as well as gastric juices help begin some chemical digestion. We'll leave the stomach through the pyloric region. Here we have a pyloric sphincter, and empty into the first part of the small intestines, number 8 here, known as the duodenum or duodenum, tomato, right? Here in the duodenum, we're going to be met with secretions from the pancreas through this pancreatic duct and the accessory duct, as well as the common bile duct coming or bringing bile from the gallbladder, cystic duct, common bile duct, which will join with the pancreatic duct at an area known as the hepatopancreatic ampulla. You can't see the major duodenal papilla on this model, but it's like right here. So we'll have secretions from the gallbladder, from the pancreas, as well as stuff exiting the stomach, mixing here in the duodenum. Some of those secretions from the pancreas are going to be things like sodium bicarbonate, used to neutralize the acids coming from the gastric juices. This gastric environment has a pH of around 2 and needs to be neutralized so that the duodenum itself doesn't become broken down by those acids. This duodenum will move into the second section of the small intestines, the jejunum, which moves into the third section of the small intestines, known as the ileum. So we'll go through the duodenum to the jejunum, finally into the ileum, and squirt through an ileocecal valve, named for the last part of the small intestine and the first part of the large intestine or colon, known as the cecum, onto which is attached the appendix. Foodstuffs digestion is pretty much done by now. We'll travel up the ascending colon, around the transverse colon, down this descending colon before snaking through the sigmoid colon, being emptied into the rectum and finally expelled through the body via the anus, surrounded by both an internal anal sphincter and an external anal sphincter, composed of smooth and skeletal muscle, respectively. Here in the large intestine, we have these outpouchings known as Haustra, as well as what's known as Taenia coli. We'll see a number of different membranous structures which will become known as mesenteries, and we'll go through and actually name some of these, most of which, once again, can't be seen on this model, so we'll have to explore them on other models and in lecture. Don't forget our spleen over here, and that's good for this model.